Joe knows taxes.
Joe knows the market.
Joe knows Social Security.
Joe knows income planning.
Joe knows pickleball? No.
This is Joe Knows Retirement.
Welcome to the Joe Knows Retirement podcast. So we're excited to get this one off the ground and start running with it. And our goal of this podcast is just to try to show as much value to the listeners and make sure that we can continue to change the landscape of how retirement planning is done and make sure people are as educated as possible. So in today's video, I'm just going to really give you an overview of what this podcast will cover. And we're also going to talk about why I got into the industry. We're going to talk about why I started Peak Retirement Planning. And we're going to talk about where we're going as a firm and where we've gone already. And so it should be a fun trip down history lane and looking towards the future as well. So hopefully this is exciting for everyone. I'm going to be pretty vulnerable and open about our past and just the journey I've been on to get to this point, which has been pretty exciting. There's been lots of ups and downs certainly, but in the end, it's been awesome, and I'm looking forward to continuing on. So first, just wanted to start off by, why we look to start this podcast. Why did I start Peak Retirement Planning? And one of the big reasons why is we just wanted to make sure that we could change the way financial planning is done, is what we say. And we see too many times out there in our industry where there's some really good advisors out there, don't get me wrong, but we see a lot of advisors out there that just may not be doing the best thing for the client. Maybe they're only insurance agents just trying to get a commission. Maybe they, don't service their clients ongoing. Maybe they only do investment management and don't focus on comprehensive retirement planning. And so that's where our goal is, to make sure we can deliver that, to not only their clients, but those looking to seek that type of, advisor moving forward. So that's our main goal. And, just always, make sure that, when one of the big things for me, I guess, is why I started the firm, is like I wanted to see change. And sometimes, if you want change, sometimes you got to do it yourself, right? And I'm going to take you through that journey today. And some of those reasons is also why we started this podcast, is just to continue that education. There's so many people out there unreached when it comes to retirement planning. So we feel that this podcast can be a good avenue to try to reach some of those people and make sure they're getting the information that they're hungry for. And because we get a lot of people that come and see us or talk to us, and when we ask them, like, what are you concerned about with retirement? The floodgates kind of come open of, I'm worried about running out of money. I'm worried about paying more taxes than what I need to. I'm worried about if the market goes down. And so we're going to take some of those concerns and really try to open those up and show you strategies and ways to make those less of a concern. Because at the end of the day, we want our clients, we want you listeners to live the retirement that you've always dreamed of. The retirement that you deserve is what we call it. If you've worked for 30, 40 years, retirement shouldn't be tedious. We want to make sure that it's smooth and easy. And by having a plan, that can allow you to live that retirement that you dream of there. So that's our goal here as a firm, and also with this podcast. Let me talk real quick about why we named the podcast Joe Knows Retirement. So you probably remember the ads from Bo Jackson, right? Bo Knows. Well, we've tried to kind of implement the same thing here. So we made it fun. Our video team basically came down and said, hey, you should name it Joe Knows Retirement. And so that's why we named it what we are, and just add some little humor and fun to it. So that's the why behind the name. So let's transition now into what got me started in the industry. So I've had a wonderful lady. Her name is Kathy Gillen, be a huge mentor to me, throughout my life. And 9 years ago, I met Kathy, and she basically shared with me what it looked like to be an advisor and what she has done for the last, for her case, she was an advisor for 40 years. And so I got to see the impact she had with her clients. I got to see the lifelong relationships that she was able to have, not only with those clients, but their kids and even grandkids, believe it or not, over 40 years. And so just to see that really, really fired me up. And I remember Kathy telling me when I was very interested in this career, and she just gave me the lay of the land of here's what it takes, here's what it's like. And she mentioned it's very hard. It is very hard to be a financial planner because people are trusting you with their life savings. People have worked for a very long time, and they're very worried, and they want to make sure they can get down to their destination successfully. And so that's something that's always fired me up, is that level of trust that we're able to capture from our clients. And it is a big deal for them to trust us. And so we know that them working with us, most of the times we're able to put them in a better spot than them doing it on your own, and that can feel pretty rewarding, obviously, as a career there. And one thing Kathy also told me is that it's a funny analogy, but she said, hey, you got to shovel manure for 3 years, and then you won't have to worry for the rest of your life from a career standpoint. And I would agree. Those first 3 years in the industry were very, very rough. It takes a lot to become a very good, successful advisor. And, it's just not easy. I think the percentage is it's less than 10% of people make it out of college. And I started right out of college. So, I like to think I beat the stats there. But definitely those stats are very real. I saw a lot of peers that were not able to make it in that fashion. So, with that journey with Kathy, I first started just interning with her and just shadowing, and it was an awesome opportunity. I got to scan a bunch of documents. You can imagine that was a bunch of fun. Kathy jokes about that all the time, and just was able to. I just tried to get in there early, try to leave late, just try to be there when the advisors will be there, and just try to absorb and be a sponge as much as I could. Was ultimately the goal early on. And I also went to Mount Vernon Nazarene University where I studied financial planning. And in that financial planning class, it set me up to sit for my certified financial planner designation after I graduated. So that CFP designation, that's the gold star of our industry. So to have that experience, I had 3 internships while I was in college to shadow and see different aspects of everything. To have the financial planning program, it really set me up as soon as I graduated, and I was off the ground running there. And I worked for some other firms right after I graduated, and worked for some great companies, worked for some great people. But at the end of the day, I just didn't really want to do it that way. I wanted to do it what I felt was the better way. And some of the companies that I've worked with, they were captive, meaning that they didn't offer all the solutions out there. So I just wanted a place that I could go that was truly independent, where I could truly do what's in the client's best interest without having to worry about any company's best interest or anyone telling me what I needed to do. I wanted to feel like I could do what I needed to best serve the client. And then, there's other firms too. They've got thousands of clients that I got to witness, and they just don't have an opportunity to service all those clients. So I felt like in order to best serve a client, you need a service model. And that's something that we do at Peak is we have a 5-pillar process to make sure all of our clients get all of the service they need to live that retirement that they're looking for. And it's an ongoing relationship. We meet with our clients at least every year and make sure we're continuing to track and monitor their plan and make adjustments and changes. At the end of the year, we're making sure their tax planning looks good and all their decisions are being made. So it's very intensive. And what I saw is that most firms don't take that far of an approach. Most are just, hey, we'll bring you on. We'll get you on board. If you have questions, give us a call. And it was very reactive and not proactive. And I just didn't necessarily agree with that aspect, considering how much people are trusting us, and we're also collecting fees. So we got to work for what they're paying us, right? So that's my mentality, and I thought that's one of the reasons why I felt the need to start this firm here. As soon as I graduated, like I said, I started working for the CFP, and then I started working on the CHFC, which is a Chartered Financial Consultant. And the CFP that I mentioned, that one's very intensive. That's a 7-hour test. You can probably see some of the books behind me that I studied for that. There's a stack of books this big, and that one really set me up well. But getting that credential really was encouraging and made me confident that, okay, I know what I'm doing here. I've got the credentials, I've got the experience, I've got the expertise. And then I have another credential as well that I worked through during that time. It's called a CKA, Certified Kin Advisor. So this one is something that is true to my values and beliefs. So it's for basically Christian financial planners. So someone who testifies as a believer can go and get this credential, go through the coursework, which consists of studying every verse in the Bible that has to do with money. And then you have to get some testimonies from clients or client referrals and stuff like that to show that you walk the talk, basically. And so that's another credential that I held, and I got that in the first few years in the industry while I was learning and developing. And the other thing that people tell me is I've been in the industry for 9 years. You can tell I'm obviously younger than most in the industry, as the average age for advisors is about 55 to 60. And people have asked how do you know all this so quick? And I'm not trying to say that arrogantly, but a lot of it's because I was thrown in the fire right away. So I was an advisor at the age of 22, and I was being dealt people's life savings and say, hey, I need help. I don't know what to do. And when you're pushed to that much pressure and you're thrown into the fire like that, you're just forced to learn really quickly. And that was a big help. And then also I've taken so many meetings since my first day on the job that I've really expedited my growth because I've worked more than your average hours. I've put more effort into it. I've got my credentials. So it's really sped up the process. And me figuring out what I wanted to do and Kathy's help so early was a huge, huge value. And be able to get here as quick as we did. So, and I think that's what has also, expedited the process of our firm growing so much, is just having that experience so early to be able to see what it is. So that's kind of the story of, where I've been. And then, eventually I got to a point where, like I said, I wanted to start Peak. And, that starting Peak was a whole new adventure for me. And it's something I will never regret. It was something that I'm so happy we did because we've been able to impact so many people up to this day. But the first few months of Peak and the first year of Peak were pretty tough, pretty rough. You basically go from, I jumped out on my own and said, yep, I don't have any clients. I got to go figure all this stuff out. I have no income. I just got to make this work, right? I'm a business owner and I got to make this work. And it was a lot of long days, long hours. I can recall, sadly, but also it's awesome to go back and see the rewards that have came from it. But I was working probably 15-hour days when I first started, and that's kind of what it takes to get a big firm off the ground. And I remember working. There was nights I was at the office till 1 a.m. So I don't necessarily say that proudly, but I say that proudly for where we've gotten. But obviously I don't want to work that many hours every day for the rest of my life. No one should. But that it does take a little bit of sacrifice to get something off the ground, obviously. So that was kind of the first parts, and then I try to do everything, during the day, meet with clients during the day, and then I called it my golden hours during the day where I met with people, and then before work and after work is where I try to catch up on all the paperwork and everything, and that worked pretty well. And then a few months into this, with Peak, things just really started to take off, and things were doing really well, and my mom obviously saw the success I was having. She's pretty close to it, and she's like, you know what, I think I'm just going to quit my job and come help you. And we ran the numbers, and it made sense for her to do. And, obviously I was more than happy to have my mom come work with me. And so my mom started to come in and help out. And she's obviously a rock star. She's been an executive assistant in her past career. And she just obviously understands how I operate, knowing she's been my assistant all my life. And she's just an awesome lady that everyone loves. So we were able to team up and really connect really well. And just we had a lot of purpose behind it, too. She feels really bought into it as well. And she just saw the impact we were having on the clients, which also fired her up as well. So that was kind of the start of Peak. And then, when you look at after Peak, we had Dominic Garris come on board, who's been a big part of our growth. And Dominic and I have known each other for 20 years. And once he was able to join, he was able to take a lot of the tasks off my plate to really focus on, helping clients more and making sure we can help, build this infrastructure around Peak. And then after, a few short months later, Josh Richardson joined, who was another college friend of mine and someone who I obviously trust as well and very dearly. And when he came, it really helped us even grow even more and deliver even higher level services to our clients. And so we've gone from just me at that point to now we're over 12 team members at this point and continuing to grow and add new team members. We're very picky about who we bring onto this team because we want only A-plus players. What we do is way too serious to have anyone that's not serious about their career and helping others. And so we always try to make sure we find rock stars and people who are going to continue to move the needle here for us moving forward. So that's been some of the history of our story. And when you look back, it's like, man, it's pretty exciting. It kind of gives you some good feelings knowing like where we started to where we are now. I mean, now we're on TV, we're on radio, we've wrote a book, we're in Kiplinger. It's just crazy to think how small it started and just how one dream can just explode. And people often ask me like, how did you grow so quickly with Peak? How did things just happen? And ultimately I'd say, one, it takes just a vision, right? It takes a dream, but most importantly, it takes other people to help you. It takes a team. It takes an army. There's no way I could have done what we've done at Peak by myself. It's taken a whole lot of people to really buy in to our mission of serving others. And when you get people that just really buy in, the sky's the limit. And that's the mindset we've had here. And it's just exciting when you can see the true value in what you're doing and the people who feel good about that. It really fires me up. And when people just say, you know what, Peak Retirement, that's the firm I want to trust. I think that's what my why is and why I do what I do, is because it just makes it so enjoyable there. And The other thing like they mentioned about the firm, what pumps me up about it is I get to build this with my friends and my mom, right? I just mentioned my mom. I mentioned 2 of my buddies. Everyone here would feel like a family. I love coming to work every day. Everyone's just very, very nice, kind, fun to be around, high level character. So just people you really just love spending time with, and also they just have great families as well. That makes it all enjoyable. And the other thing that fires me up about what we've done with Peak is just not only the opportunity to serve clients like we've talked about today, but also the fact that we're giving employees a huge opportunity to build a career around something that's, 1, purposeful, and 2, where they can make a great living and be surrounded by a great culture. And I feel like that's extremely important. That's something else that excites me as we grow, that we're providing a lot of really neat opportunities for others, and can really help others through that. So but yeah, that's kind of the story. Our goal eventually, so where's Peak going? We're going to continue to grow as we can grow organically. So we're not going to grow too fast to where we can't service our current clients. So we've made a commitment to our clients that we are not going to outgrow them, basically, meaning that, hey, we've got all these people that want to come work with us, but we don't have the capacity to serve them, then that means we're not going to bring them on. There's 2 things that would happen. 1, we either shut the door and just focus on our clients, or we would just hire more people if we can find the right people, which allows us to grow and serve more people. So that's the mission we're on. At this pace, I would say our goal is to build offices around the entire country, become one of the bigger firms around the country. We're already starting to become a premier firm in Columbus. And so, our next step would look to, build offices in outside places, which could happen, in the near future. And our goal is just to help thousands of people over time. Like I said, just give them that retirement that they deserve, and make sure they're on the right path. And it's been a fun journey, like I said, and we're looking forward to this podcast and sharing more insights. So obviously, this podcast was less about strategies and more just about, where we've been and where we're going. And I just thought it was important for people to kind of get that story. I don't tell it very often, as you'll see in the other podcast videos coming up here. We're not going to talk too much about ourselves or the firm. It's going to be all about education. But just wanted to start this one off on that step. And if you guys have any questions about Peak, or ever want to meet with one of our advisors to make sure you're doing the right things, feel free to reach out to us. You can go to our website, peakretirementplanning.com. You can see all of our contact information there. There'll be a link that you can schedule a time with us. You'll have to apply to talk to us and get on one of our advisors' calendars. And so, yeah, that's the wrap for the first podcast of Joe Knows Retirement. And we're looking forward to the next one. So we'll see you soon.
Since we do not know your specific situation, none of this information can serve as tax, legal, insurance, or financial advice and may be outdated or inaccurate. The information comes from sources believed to be reliable but cannot be guaranteed. This content is prepared for educational purposes only. If you need advice, please contact a qualified CPA, attorney, insurance agent, financial advisor, or the appropriate professional for the subject you would like help with. Peak Retirement Planning, Inc. is an Ohio-based registered investment advisor and able to offer advisory services in Ohio and in other states where registered or exempt from registration.